What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and for months I have been talking about the disaster that is The Last of Us Part 2, after Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog decided to destroy their franchise, alienate their fans, and say that anybody that criticized them or disagreed with them, you're just a bigot, you're just an ist, you're just a phobe of some kind. And I made a very bold prediction. I said that I thought that Ghost of Tsushima would eventually outsell The Last of Us Part 2 at the end of the day, that despite everything, despite it being a new IP, despite The Last of Us 2 being a sequel, one of the most highly anticipated games ever, I said that with all the damage they have done, I think Ghost of Tsushima will eventually outsell them. Well, now we're actually starting to get some information. Now we can see what the most downloaded games on PlayStation 4 were in 2020. And spoiler alert, Ghost of Tsushima has beaten The Last of Us Part 2. That bold prediction I made sure seems to be coming true, doesn't it? I know there's going to be a lot of angry Last of Us fans who are still here watching my videos month after month every time I mention anything bad about The Last of Us Part 2. Well, now I don't know what you're going to do, because now we have the facts laid out in front of us, and it is bad news for you. This has been a tale of two different studios, with Sucker Punch in Ghost of Tsushima being a game that has been free of any political BS, any agenda, and they have said the entire time, we want to listen to fans, we encourage fan feedback, we are here for the fans, and now this is the result. This is Daniel Ahmed, who talks a lot about game sales. Here's a look at the best-selling games on PlayStation 5's digital store in 2020. Now, this article comes from the PlayStation blog. I didn't care too much about PS5. What I did care about was PS4 for 2020. And he says Last of Us 2 and Ghost did very well in the US. Well, I saw the order there, and it made me immediately run to this article, because Ghost of Tsushima is at number 5, The Last of Us Part 2 is at number 6, despite The Last of Us Part 2 being released a month before Ghost of Tsushima, having more time for those sales, so I had to pull up this article. Top downloads of 2020. So for the entire year of 2020, not, the first weekend, which we sold 4 million copies, but really you just shipped those and they sat on the shelves for years. No, this is downloads on PlayStation Store. So certainly, these aren't hard numbers. These are a simple ranking. It's going to be a while before we really see the true numbers for both of these games. But when you go down to it, you look at PlayStation 4, here it is. In the US and Canada, which is a huge market, obviously, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, number 1. Grand Theft Auto 5, number 2. Call of Duty Modern Warfare at 3. So this is kind of ridiculous for PlayStation 4, to be quite honest with you, that 2 Call of Duty games in the top 3 this year. Minecraft at 4. And what do you know? Ghost of Tsushima, the highest selling, the most downloaded game on PlayStation 4 of its exclusives. Right after that comes The Last of Us Part 2, 2 NBA games, Final Fantasy VII Remake, another PS4 exclusive, and then finally Madden. Ghost of Tsushima beats The Last of Us Part 2. Again, this is just downloads. This is not counting physical sales, but if you were to count physical sales, we have talked about those examples for months. Last of Us Part 2 is still sitting on shelves at stores, even with it being discounted to 20 or 30 US dollars. It is still rotting on shelves because no one wants this game. It has been obvious from the very get-go. Right? We knew that Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2, we saw all the fans coming out to vote for everything else. When it came down to it, who won? Player's Voice winner was Ghost of Tsushima by a long shot, because more people enjoyed this game than Last of Us Part 2. And looks like more people may have played this game than The Last of Us Part 2. Now, this is not counting any resales, right? This is not counting people that went out to a GameStop to buy it secondhand. We know there has been a lot of copies of Last of Us Part 2 available for GameStop. So maybe more people have played Last of Us Part 2. It's tough to really tell. But as far as sales numbers, direct from the distributor, direct from a brand new game, not counting resales, Ghost of Tsushima beats Last of Us Part 2 on PlayStation Digital Store. Look at that. And is it really any doubt? When you look at the user score for The Last of Us Part 2, the critics loved it. The media tried to praise it. The media tried to push it as the game of the generation, a masterpiece. But fans knew. Fans knew the real deal. Fans knew that this game that they were fooled by this game. They were tricked by this game, and they tried to push a narrative. Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann lied to you all along so you would buy their game. And when people found out, they didn't buy the game, as evidenced by all the stuff we have seen earlier. Whereas Ghost of Tsushima, one of the highest rated games in the history of PlayStation 4, and it's absolutely incredible the response that it had, something that was not expected. And when you look at these things, remember we had an update. We had a big update from Ghost of Tsushima about passing 5 million copies sold, a huge deal, and Ghost of Tsushima was sold out everywhere. They made a big celebration. Ghost of Tsushima is our fastest selling first-party original PS4 game with more than 15 million copies sold since its debut in July. Incredible achievement. And of course, The Last of Us Part 2, you look around for all these announcements, the only thing you can find is that initial one from when the game released. Last of Us Part 2 sells more than 4 million copies. And Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann thanking everyone for all the great successes that they've had. Been pretty quiet about updates since then, haven't we, Naughty Dog? I wonder if the reason is because all these stores got shipped this anticipating that it would be a massive success, a massive, huge sales boost, but it wasn't. Because when the game leaked, and you copyright struck channels like mine, when Naughty Dog tried to silence my channel, obliterate my channel, I had 2 copyright strikes, false copyright strikes from Naughty Dog, simply because they didn't like how I was talking about their game. They tried to hide everything from everyone, but it didn't work. We know what has happened. We know what has happened despite the fact that the media has been protecting The Last of Us Part 2 while all the while trying to bash Ghost of Tsushima. Even though the critics in Japan loved it, the fans in Japan loved it, they tried to call it racist. They tried to call it cultural appropriation. No one buys that garbage except weird Twitter SJWs. And when that's your market, when those are the people you're appealing to, they don't have any spending power. They're not going to buy this game. And The Last of Us Part 2 is going to go down as a stunning failure. From nearly 20 million copies sold across 2 consoles for the original Last of Us, now to Last of Us Part 2. Again, getting beat out by Ghost of Tsushima. This is just facts. You can't deny this. More people downloaded Ghost of Tsushima on PlayStation 4 than Last of Us Part 2. That's the bottom line. That's what this chart says. You can deny it, you can cry about it, you can do anything you want, but it doesn't matter. I said that I thought at the end of the day it would outsell it. Now, as far as physical copies, again, those numbers are going to be hard to come by because the shipping versus the sold through, because all those stacks and stacks of Last of Us 2 that is sitting at your GameStop, your Best Buy, everything, those all count towards Naughty Dog's 4 million copies sold. Who knows what the real number is? One thing that I do know, this is tangible, this is evidence released from Sony, that more people bought Ghost of Tsushima on the PlayStation Store than they bought The Last of Us Part 2. Naughty Dog should be embarrassed by everything that has gone down, but they're not. They just promoted Neil Druckmann. So what can you expect in the future? More divisiveness, more identity politics, more agenda, and more, I forgot to show this, more of this. Because if you didn't like this game, Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann had a request. You know, at this point I have a request. If any of you hate homosexuals, people of a different color, or women, please do us a favor. Leave us the fuck alone. Don't come to our shows and don't buy our records. 1, they labeled anyone who criticized them as a troll, as a bigot, as an istophobe, all of these things. And if you don't like it, don't buy it. Right? That is not a great way to do business, Neil Druckmann, and I think you've discovered that. Because at the end of the day, Ghost of Tsushima sells more copies on PlayStation Store than The Last of Us Part 2. Absolutely embarrassing failure for Naughty Dog, but it only continues. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Don't forget to check out your Fuck Naughty Dog merch. I will put it in the pinned comment. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.